Hello. Let's get you hopefully fully connected. Uh-oh.
Good morning. Oh, afternoon. Hey, Ryan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Belinda?
Good, thank you. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. I connected and disconnected at the same time.
It's totally fine. Totally fine. Hello, everyone who are joining us right now. We are just getting hooked up to hopefully have this conversation. And it's Belinda's morning and my late afternoon, and
Yeah,
Belinda's summer and my winter.
I know.
So
I was looking at your pictures and like the snow, and I was like, oh,
we are having a snowy day today, so it's
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
those picturesque New England winters right now. So
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, look, I am a beach girl at heart, but I appreciate the snow.
yes, well, I live only about 10 minutes from the beach too. So
Oh, you have everything.
we're about an hour from the mountains, 10 minutes to the beach.
Wow. Oh, that's pretty special.
Hello,
Yeah.
I'm loving seeing everyone joining. Give some more
Hi,
people.
Crystal. Hi, Kiri.
Yeah, it's all wonderful. I'm gonna pull up, where is it? When we give a little bit more time.
Hi, Nicole.
Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna take a drink of water.
You had a long day.
Yes,
Yeah.
long day. It's okay though, it's all good. Sometimes it's good to have long days.
This is true. Yeah. 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 Yesterday I had an interview at like 4:30, like 5:30 a.m. Sydney time for America. So I got up at like 4. So I was like, that was a long day.
Yeah, that's a long day. Yeah, yeah. My 3-year-old has been waking up in the middle of the night again, and I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Suboptimal. Suboptimal.
Yeah, he's getting his molars in. So, okay, it looks like the rush of people to join has kind of ended. So, we are going to get involved. So, I just want to do a quick introduction of the two of us for those who don't know one of us. Um, so, thank you so much, Belinda, for joining me here. Just as an introduction, I'm going to just read this verbatim because of memory. So, Belinda Kirkpatrick is the author of Healthy Hormones, which I've read, and it's a fantastic book. Super excited about this book. She is an expert naturopath and nutritionist with over 15 years of clinical experience, and she specializes in women's health and is especially passionate about hormonal health, fertility management, miscarriage prevention, and menopause. And she's known for her extensive knowledge of natural and conventional treatment, in addition to her evidence-based approach to integrative healthcare. She is based in, and there's so much more.
Yeah. Don't have to get, yeah. Just head to my website. Don't worry about it.
Pretty much to say that she is an expert, and really, really excited to have her here. For those who don't know me, I am Dr. Ryan Bailey. I am a board certified women's health physical therapist based in the States, and I work with women from preconception to postpartum. I've worked with women across the spectrum, but that's the age range or the time period that I have narrowed down to most recently. And I love working with women for lifestyle detoxification, with body work, love hands-on. I'm trained in myofascial release. That's really my go-to, as well as holistic and intuitive exercise and movement patterns. So really getting you into your bodies and how your body can heal on its own. So that's where I am. And we are going to be having a conversation today about how we can support your IVF journey naturally. So I'm going to throw it over to Belinda and have her get this started really with my first question as how would you as a naturopath approach helping someone through their IVF journey?
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for your introduction. I love myofascial release. If I could get on a plane, I'd be there. So good. It's so good. Okay, so I guess, look, a huge part of my practice is fertility management, helping women and couples conceive, whether that's naturally or via IVF and assisted reproduction. Now, a huge proportion of my clients probably are in the assisted reproduction space. So it's something that over the last 15 years I've become really passionate about. I work with lots of doctors and specialists, IVF specialists, because I really do believe that it's not necessarily just one and the other. It's us all working together to get this common goal. And that's kind of really important. So I've recently launched a program, or two programs, a fertility program and an IVF support program with one of Australia's leading fertility specialists, Dr. Gavin Sachs from IVF Australia, because he can see too, like the impact of our shared clients. You know, not only are they more empowered, they feel better, they're getting kind of better results as well. So I think the most important thing when we're looking at supporting women and couples going through the IVF journey is, why are they there, right? So the first thing that I do when I see clients in the clinic and kind of, you know, when I'm speaking, it's like, okay, like, why are you guys there? So sometimes it's really obvious. Okay, so my partner has a very low sperm count, you know, and maybe that hasn't been able to be corrected naturally. Maybe they haven't tried, I don't know. Maybe there's blocked fallopian tubes. Now, those two things, I guess low sperm count is becoming more and more common, unfortunately. If we look at sperm count from the 60s to now, it is significantly lower. So there's lots going on in our diet and lifestyles that is really affecting male fertility, which is really easy to count, right? It's just like, okay, here you go, show us that. You know, we can test it, and it's easy to kind of test and see.
Right.
Unfortunately, with a lot of us women, eggs you can't test, right? So everything gets thrown back onto egg quality, which is like my and look, I'm all for men, I'm all for everything, but you know, IVF is often a very patriarchal kind of thing. The sperm's fine, even when it's not fine. Oh, you're fine. Like it's okay for IVF. You know, like
right.
Terrible morphology, terrible concentration, terrible count. DNA fragmentation's not amazing. You know, but it's like it's probably egg quality. You know, because we can't test egg quality, so it's just so easy to blame. You know, it's just always easy to blame somebody else. And when you can't prove that or disprove that, it's a really handy scapegoat, right? Now, a lot of the time it probably is an egg quality issue. You know, we're born with all of our eggs, and so, you know, luckily they're one of the biggest cells in the body. They're a little bit harder to damage. Sperm is one of the smallest cells. So coming back to what we're originally looking at is why are you an IVF, okay? So if it's because of unexplained, or what they call unexplained infertility, what I call subfertility, right? So just like not conceiving as easily as you would expect that you would, then, you know, going through the IVF process, sure, sometimes works, okay? So maybe, and these are quite small proportion of times, maybe the sperm's just not getting to where it needs to get to. Maybe you have some sort of cervical stenosis, very tight cervix, sperm isn't getting there. Maybe you've got some kind of pH imbalance in your vaginal mucus that's killing sperm before it gets there. These are probably not the highest proportion of people that we see, but these are the people that have been trying for a couple of years or however long. They go to IVF, they do one cycle, it works, and it's like, wow, that was easy. You know, so that's probably not most of the people, okay? So for everybody else, and still it's quite untestable, it's like, why are you there? Because if you're having an implantation issue, if you're having a pregnancy maintenance issue, IVF isn't actually necessarily getting around those things, right? It just makes you feel like you're more in control. So the first thing that I do when I see people in the clinic is to do some really comprehensive testing. In Australia, we're very lucky. I get to work with lots of doctors, so we mostly get that through our Medicare system, so there's not much out of pocket, which is great. And we're looking at everything, right? So from your hormones, blood clotting factors, the way your body breaks down folate, inflammation, your immune system, autoimmunity. And I often, well, it's not a joke, I guess I was going to say a joke. I often say to my clients, this is the best health check you're ever going to have as well. So I'm trying to test things that are directly involved in maybe why they haven't kind of conceived. When everything comes up perfect, yeah, maybe it is going to be egg quality, or maybe it's something we don't have the capability to test for. So I think that's the most important thing. And literally every woman and couple that I see in my clinic, when I say, oh, we'll get some tests done, they're like, oh, I'll bring everything I've got. I've done everything, right? And when they come, I'm like, okay, this is cute. You've done the you're not dead tests. I don't say this is cute, but I do say these are what I call the you're not dead tests. Like, your thyroid isn't hideous, and your full blood count is normal, and your liver functions great. You don't have an infectious disease, and you're immune to rubella. Great, and yes, of course, those are basics that we definitely want to make sure are ruled out, but they've probably already been ruled out by a GP right at the beginning of the process, right? So that's when we need to kind of deep dive in. And I think I literally could count on one hand the amount of clients that I've gone, wow, you've had everything tested already in 15 years. So that would be my first step, is find out why as much as you can.
Sure. Well, yeah, absolutely. Because as you said, if it's an implantation problem, or if it's the, it's not the actual meeting and the fertilization, it's the aftermath, then IVF may not actually be successful because of maybe low progesterone and lining issues or circulation issues, which IVF definitely does not address. Scarring, things that are not addressed with IVF. So then how would you then go about, providing treatment for that? Anything that you found to support then their decision to do IVF?
Great. So it really depends on what we find out. Now, very, very, very often with this subfertility, it's the combination of things. So I like to explain it as it's what's the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, yes, sometimes you have a blood clotting issue that probably needs injectable Clexane, which is a medical blood thinner through the pregnancy, or maybe aspirin, and that will be enough, right? Those things don't happen that much in isolation. I mean, they do. And look, and even things like that are really basic. I'm like, you actually just need to ask your specialist to prescribe you this, because, it's not for me all about doing it the natural way. It's about you getting the result that you're looking for in the healthiest way possible. And that's not one or the other. So when it's sort of like, oh, this is kind of what's going on, great. Sometimes we can treat that naturally, and sometimes I'm like, oh, you're actually quite hypothyroid. You actually probably need low dose thyroid medication to support you through the pregnancy when your thyroid's going to be, but it's a subclinical level of hypothyroidism. So quite often this is where I'm working with doctors and specialists to go, actually, can we consider prescribing X for this person, even though that's not really my deal. For most other people, though, it's this combination of factors. So it might be, for example, your thyroid's just like a little bit under functioning. You might have low vitamin D levels, highly associated with poor egg quality. You might have some circulation inflammation issues, and we need to be looking at some good dose fish oils with you to reduce inflammation, to support, a circulation and help with the implantation issues. So we're looking at supplements that can help. There's nearly always an egg quality issue. Well, there's often an egg quality issue with my IVF clients. It could be because of where I live in the eastern suburbs of Sydney. A lot of women have their children in their late 30s, early 40s. So a lot of women, you know, when I see anyone in their 30s, I'm like, well, great, yay, easy. You know, you could be 39. And I'm like, spring chicken, babe, let's go. So, you know, my women do go up into their 40s and beyond. And, you know, we can have really good success with that as well. It just depends on a whole heap of kind of variables. There's so much research, and this is why I've created this online course. There is so much research on, the great thing about IVF is everybody knows you're trying to conceive. All your data is locked into a system. So the amount of research on women and couples trying to conceive is great and is getting greater, as in like the amount of it, right? So the thing, yeah, 39, go girl. So the thing is that, you know, we need to now incorporate and learn how to use this information. And this is why I've partnered with Dr. Sachs at IVF Australia, because these doctors don't have the time, the training, the expertise. Like, their job is something else. So it's so important that we work alongside. So for example, one of the biggest issues with egg quality is insufficient protein in the diet, right? So easy to fix, you know, and even if you're vegetarian, vegan, it can still be fixed. So the minimum amount of protein that you need per day is at least, this is going to throw you guys because I'm going to work in kilograms. Sorry, you have to do maybe Ryan will pop a conversion for me. I'm not, yeah. So basically for us, Laura, hi Laura, you might be able to convert. Maybe you work in both worlds. I don't know. So basically you need at least 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. Maybe you can Google it while I'm chatting. So 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. Yeah. Ryan's going to sort it all out for you. Sorry, guys. All the Australians and English probably know what I mean. When are you guys going to start using grams and kilograms?
I don't know.
What's with this? What's with this funny system? My daughter's an athlete, and so they run like 1,500 meters, but then all the Americans are like 1,600 meters because that's your mile. So you can never compare. It's like we need to get onto the one system here. If I was in charge, we'd be all on one system. I don't care whose system it is, just one.
Ones who have the other system, the rest of the world has the metric system.
Yeah, you guys, I feel like you guys are just lagging the chain. Maybe it's coming. You guys got other things to think about right now. That's probably low on the list, but let's bring it up at some point. Okay, so 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight, which Dr. Ryan's going to sort out now. So when you're not getting enough, you actually don't produce as good quality eggs. And this is something that IVF specialists and research have found, particularly very low weight women often don't have enough protein in their diet. So it could be something as simple as not getting enough protein. So what I do is we go through all the tests, go through all that kind of stuff, and then we go through all of your body systems. So looking at things like energy, mood, medical history, immunity, all the hoo-ha, right? So getting you as healthy as possible. It's you trying to conceive. It's not just your ovaries and your uterus trying to conceive, right? So it is important we know that the gut microbiome can make an impact. A certain percentage of reproductive issues are undiagnosed genitourinary tract infections. And I know a lot of the IVF specialists in the States, which are a little bit more gung-ho with the medication, which is why pre-COVID, we send our super tricky patients to you guys to just get annihilated with every drug on the planet. But it does often work. So thank you. We appreciate it. Like, yeah, probably overkill for everybody. But like for the people who need it, it can be really great because they're not so scared to use more medication. Yeah. We're quite conservative in Australia. So they do often use antibiotics, you know, because of that kind of problem. So we're looking at your gut microbiome. We're looking at what exercise you're doing. Like, what does the research says is too much, is too little? So to give you like a little kind of quick cheat here, and you can find out more in my program, is surprise, surprise, it's moderate exercise, right? How boring. Like, not too much, not too little. So people who are exercising in the lead up to their cycle fairly regularly have better rates of pregnancy success, both naturally and with IVF. Women who are doing more than 5 hours a week or more than 30 minutes a day and or high intensity exercise have lower rates of fertility, longer time to conception, and less IVF success as well. So the research kind of sits on up to 5 hours a week, up to 30 minutes a day of moderate intensity exercise. Now that's going to be different for everybody, right? For somebody going for a little jog for, say, 2 miles, 5 kilometers, is I just made that up. It's probably wrong. I think it's right. Approximately. So say
5K is about 3.5 miles, 3.2
okay,
miles.
never mind. I'm wrong. Okay, so 3 miles, like a half an hour or something of a very light jog. For somebody who is used to running speed marathons, that's a moderate thing, right? If somebody else is out doing that, they're like, oh, this is like hard. So you have to see where you're at and work with, you know, your specialist or your physical health experts, see above, for what, do you do that? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I thought so, yeah. Do you want to advertise something that you weren't offering?
Yeah.
You know, that's somebody who can help you with that. So sometimes, like, the more healthy way isn't always the better way.
Yeah.
You know, so there's so much that we can look at, you know, diet, exercise, sleep, relaxation, meditation, stress, you know, what we're exposed to in our environment. And get this, guys. So anybody who's been in for an IVF embryo transfer, so that's when they've already put the sperm and the egg together, made an embryo, put it back inside of you. On that day, you're not allowed to wear perfume, right? Now, in the IVF labs, the doctors and nurses and everybody, nobody wears fragrance, okay? They're not allowed to wear fragrance because fragrance can kill embryos, right? But nobody seems to have made the unscientific leap of faith that if putting a bit of perfume on the day of the embryo transfer can affect things, maybe spraying it every single day to go into your skin, through your bloodstream and straight into your ovaries, maybe that's not a great idea either. Because there's no scientific research to prove that yet, so hard to prove, because we're trying to prove, is the teeniest dose every day for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, 2 years going to affect egg quality? It's a really hard study to design. I'm hoping somebody smarter than me does it at some point. It will not be me, but I will be preying on the results. Quite lazy, but somebody likes that stuff. You know, so there's simple things like that where you're like, hang on a second, I can actually make these simple changes. And it's not about getting super stressed. It's not about, I've got to be perfect. I've got to live in this organic bubble of like protein and vegetables and never have fun. But, you know, when you know you're going through this process, when you're trying to conceive and you can know, actually, what does the research say? How much alcohol, how much coffee, does sugar affect the uterine environment? You know, is perfume maybe something I could just leave to the side for a while, wear an essential oil? You know, we're so lucky in our times, although unlucky in our times, but also lucky that all these kooky, weirdo, hippie products that I was wearing 20 years ago are now fashionable, cool, and expensive. You know, so you don't have to smell like patchouli oil anymore, you know, if you don't want to. I secretly still like it, but you know, like it's got that real hippie kind of like, oh, okay, gotcha. There is beautiful $100 spray in a fancy bottle that smells like whatever, you know, that is still made from completely natural fragrances. So, you know, you guys are lucky.
Yeah, and I mean, I like how you said that, you know, you don't have to live in a bubble. It is picking and choosing and figuring out what's going to work best for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, for your situation, and not completely stressing over, I need to like totally change my entire lifestyle for this to work, because that would be too stressful. So
absolutely.
To then when you're trying to stay low stress. So,
and also too, like, it's not the person that wins this race, the person who gets the result is not the person who aces this test, right? So these are just guidelines to help to improve your chances.
Right.
And anybody who's been trying for a while, this is a little upsetting, but people fall pregnant all the time. People fall pregnant eating fast food, drinking like you know, Coca-Cola, smoking cigarettes, and never having thought of anything. And I know when you've been trying, that's frustrating, but it's not that you can't conceive without these tips. It's just that if it's been a little bit more difficult, these might be part of your what's the straw that broke the camel's back, and then you conceive. So, you know, it's so important that you're very gentle with yourself. And the great thing with this is that all these things that I'm talking about, like, they're not just for fertility, right? Like, this is going to set you up for good general health, good nutrition in pregnancy. By the time the baby comes out and it's crawling all over the floor, not straight away, it's crawling on a cleaning product that isn't made from bleach and ammonia and toxic chemicals. It's crawling on eucalyptus oil and vinegar and, you know, maybe not directly crawling on that, but yeah, so you know what I mean? Like, these are things that, you know, as you make very, very slow changes, you know, you finish your foundation, the next one you buy is a natural one. You finish your kitchen spray, the next one you buy is a natural one. So just slowly as you finish something, you can be making this switch to a more healthy kind of lifestyle. And this is benefiting, you know, helping to reduce the risk of cancers and chronic diseases and, you know, early onset menopause and hormonal conditions, and the health of this beautiful potential baby that you're creating as well. So when we focus on the long game rather than, oh my gosh, like, if I have a non-organic coffee, I'm not going to conceive this month, it's my fault. You know, we love to blame ourselves. It's not your fault. Life is shitty sometimes, and it's not fair sometimes, and that sucks. But these are little things that you can be doing. And women, our biggest issue, most of the women I see, very type A, very successful, want to do this and that and everything right, which is amazing. But society has taught us, you study hard, you get the result. You work hard, you get a promotion. You save hard, you buy a house. There's always a bonus for your hard work, okay? So in this, you can be stricter and stricter and stricter and stricter and do it so perfectly, you still might not be getting the result, and somebody who's not doing it as well is getting the result. It's the first time that a lot of us have had the experience that, like, I can help to improve my chances, but I can't control this.
Right.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
We like to control things.
Yeah, absolutely. And jumping back to a question that I thought of earlier, what are your thoughts on, like, having them start the process? When would you, I mean, obviously it all depends on when they actually come and see you, but in the ideal situation, in the ideal world, when would you have them start the process of, you know, swapping things out, or, you know, taking a look at what they could be doing to support their journey?
Yeah, in terms of the lifestyle stuff, do you mean?
Lifestyle, or you know, starting supplements, or starting an exercise routine, or seeing someone for body work, or when.
Gotcha.
Because I have, like, my timeline. When would
so
you,
like, a lot of, I guess, the nutrition stuff, so I want to get the basics right first. So responding to any test issues would be really important. From the first consult, we're making diet and lifestyle changes. Now, what those changes are and how, I don't want to use the word strict, but strict they are, it depends on where you're at, what you're open to, and what we decide you can take on at that time, right? So if you're coming from 6 coffees a day and no vegetables, it might be, let's go to 3 or 4 coffees and add a cup of vegetables, right? If you're already doing, like, 1 coffee and, like, a couple of cups of vegetables and, like, a little bit of sugar after dinner, I might say, okay, stick with the 1 coffee max. You know, if you don't want to switch out to an organic decaf, maybe let's try to bump up our vegetables to 4 or 5 cups instead of 2 or 3. Let's see if we can switch out that sugary treat, because we know that embryos don't thrive in a high glucose environment. Why don't we try some berries and yogurt, or a chia pudding, or whatever it is instead? So it really depends on kind of where they're up to. In terms of symptoms and things, you know, if they've got endometriosis, pelvic congestion, I'm referring to you straight up as well. So, you know, it really, I guess for me, I'm kind of almost like a primary care type of provider in one way, because it's sort of working out what the priority is, triaging out to other people. A lot of women come going, oh, I've like just started IVF. Like I'm doing an egg collection in 3 days time. You know, so we're starting a lot more with the basics, with nutrition. We're not really influencing egg quality. We're trying to get implantation as best as we can.
Yeah.
But in an ideal scenario, I guess that the sperm takes 3 months to be made, and an egg takes about 3 months to go from its immature state to its more mature state, ready to be ovulated naturally or with IVF. So it's within 3 months that we make the biggest well, it's 3 months plus that we make the biggest impact, particularly with things like egg quality. Because I'm constantly racing against the clock with so many of my clients, like I mentioned, we don't always have 3 months, right? So I'm always working on a backup plan. It's like, right, okay, so you're going now, but we're going to be doing the testing. We're going to be doing this. We're working on egg quality, even though you're doing an egg collection in 4 days' time. Probably won't make any difference for this round. And if we are overshooting it and you fall pregnant, great. What an amazing waste of time and money.
Right.
You know, but, you know, I'm always sort of, you know, they might have already done 4 or 5 rounds before they come to see me. And I'm like, let's not just keep stopping and starting every time and kind of go on. So does that answer what you're saying? Like, so it's not a direct timeline for me, but it's sort of trying to meet you where you're at to make those improvements that work for you, but also knowing when to escalate things. Because just literally last week, I had 2 women who I've probably been seeing for nearly a year, both of whom I recommended a laparoscopy from day 1. So that's keyhole surgery to investigate for endometriosis. Both of them did it a year later, right? Because they're, you know, one of them's getting stuck in IVF cycles. It's a bit of a gamble. I get it, right? Like the doctor's like, I don't think you need that. Let's just do another cycle. So you're like, okay, of course, right? You're going to do that. Literally both of them within a month, this is last week, they told me, I get goosebumps now, within a month, both pregnant naturally after the laparoscopy, both going, oh my gosh, thank you for pushing me into that. Why didn't I listen to you a year ago? And it's not that I'm always right. I'm not, right? I'm not always right. But, you know, it's trying to kind of know when to do that. If you've been doing multiple rounds of IVF, get a fresh set of eyes on it, whether it's a new doctor, whether it's another natural fertility specialist, somebody else looking, you know, from the outside in, can be really valuable. Because when you're seeing somebody for a while, you kind of get stuck in their case. But when you're getting that second opinion, you're like, let's pull everything together. What's been missed? Have you had this? You know, have you done a hysteroscopy? Oh, you had an appendix out 5 years ago. Oh, it had burst. Oh, interesting. Like maybe you've got leaked, you know, maybe there was kind of some scar tissue or adhesion that was formed. Maybe you do need investigative surgery to kind of check that out, because, you know, you're young and it seems really unusual that you're not having success. And, you know, so you're pulling all those things in together, not just making a judgment from the last cycle. Yeah. Oh, we got a couple more eggs collected. We're moving in the right direction. Let's keep going.
Right, right. So what are your views on, you know, either adding in, you know, specific type of body work or specific type of exercises into either before they start IVF or during
yeah.
the IVF?
Yeah, great question. I'm going to answer that. I'm also going to, somebody said, like, how do you pull back on exercise? Or what do you do? I'm bored and I need to exercise to keep fit. Oh. If I don't exercise, I emotionally eat as well. So it kind of probably comes into that a little bit too. You know, it is about finding something else to do. Read a book, go walking, you know, do some meditation, relaxation, you know, so you may be doing some more gentle types of exercise, you know, stretches, rolling. I mean, you know, you probably could answer that better than me, that it could be stuff that's not actually exercise, but is body work, body movement. You feel like you're moving your body. And I get a lot of people who are doing like 2 exercise sessions a day. And often I say to them, like, can we switch out, like, that's a lot. Can we switch out one of those for like foam rolling or stretching? So you're still moving your body, put your gym clothes on, whatever, but it's not exercise. But so for the question that you asked though, you know, it is quite, it is quite common that I would get somebody to speak to somebody else. So as I said, like, you know, particularly for you, like the body work and stuff like that, particularly things like polycystic ovarian syndrome, you know, they need to kind of be exercising in a certain way to really kind of help to support insulin resistance, egg quality, implantation. So it really depends on, you know, I think for me, people more with like hormonal conditions or pelvic congestion conditions, you know, like thin lining of the uterus and things like that. Yeah, like we need definitely like very much more directed body work, you know, and more specific kind of exercises. And look, and if everybody could afford it and have time, I think there would be benefit for everybody, right? You know, of course, you know, so it's trying to kind of work out what's a priority for you personally as well. So certain underlying health conditions, sometimes too, like Kat mentioned, if you are struggling with wanting to exercise more or not wanting to exercise at all, then having somebody who can be directing you at your pace, which is what I'm doing with the food stuff, you know, to know, okay, let's just start with this. This is the most important part. Like, that's not really my deal. I can kind of give you the stats of like these type of exercises seem to be better associated, but I can't walk you through them and go, well, actually, that's not for you because you've got this funny thing on your disc or that aggravates your pelvic instability or whatever. So it is really important from that perspective.
I think to stem from that, for Kat's question too, is, you know, you have to also explore where your belief around exercise is too, because if you only believe that exercise is in one way, it is then going to be hard for you to see that maybe yoga is exercise, or like Belinda was saying, that like foam rolling is exercise, or, you know, so you really have to dive into that too and explore and see what do I actually believe is exercise. Coming from the background of women's health and working with postpartum women, exercise for those women is breathing. So you have to really dive into where your beliefs are around that, and that will also help you not to be so bored. Because again, you can turn anything really into an exercise. I turn a lot into an exercise to be very efficient, especially as a mom of two. And so that can then also help you see that you're still exercising, but in a safer way. And it's also set you up for long-term results, that's really going to improve your potentials in pregnancy to reduce a whole slew of issues, as well as in your healing and postpartum. So I get the idea of getting bored when you're not exercising, but definitely look into like what your beliefs are around that. And you can certainly DM me if you have any questions.
That's a really interesting thing you said. I hadn't really thought about that belief thing. And I know that from my perspective too, you know, is it bored? Sorry, Kat, we're like talking all about you. Is it bored? But for somebody else, sometimes it's guilt, right? So what we feel like we need to, we've been brought up with this, like, I need to be doing this and this is the right way, you know, and I guess a lot of people kind of sneak in with these sort of like even borderline disordered eating patterns and things. Not you, Kat, I don't know you, but you know, but that are sort of sliding under the banner of health. But I'm like, okay, like you're really grabbing onto this too much. You know, you're not going out with your friends because they use the wrong type of oil in the restaurant and you think that's inflammatory or whatever. Like, so it's also kind of that sort of overthinking pattern that often accompanies over-exercise and sometimes very restrictive or disordered eating is often really affecting the hypothalamus, the gland in the brain that talks to the pituitary gland that says to your ovaries, come on, release your egg. It's nice and safe here. Nothing much is happening. And I always say to my clients when I'm directing them, I'm like, movement, it's in the IVF kind of like fertility time, you want to think of exercise as movement and circulation, not sweat and tears.
Right.
You know, I'm like, I said to my clients, like, you should be able to walk in with a blow dry and walk out with that blow dry for at least half of those sessions. Then I like that.
Yeah,
you know,
it's almost like you know, exercising based on your menstrual cycle. It's the same for IVF. You definitely have to change the forms of exercise that you're using and have them be more supportive of your body and not, yeah, not the high intensity, high impact, like, yeah, get your
Yeah.
sweat on style of exercise. It definitely is different. And that can be really challenging for a lot of people.
Yes. And while they're making the change, I find it's very challenging. But I would find in my clinic, like 90% of people, once they've made that change, and sometimes it takes months and years, right? So like, whatever, that's okay. Once they've made that change, they're like, oh my gosh, like, how was I doing that before? Like, that doesn't even seem normal anymore, what I was doing. Like, I feel better. My body seems better. I've got more energy. I've got more time. They might have been going from boot camp 5 days a week, plus a run and a yoga on the weekend, to, through 2 weight sessions, 2 Pilates sessions, and a foam roller session. And they're like, my body looks better. I feel better. I'm not so hungry all the time because I'm not constant, so most people actually come back saying they actually feel better once the mental shift has happened and the guilt goes away and they find something else to do with their time, and whatever as well. But long walks are good, like that's something to listen to a podcast, be in nature. I mean, you guys are in the snow. I don't know how much you want a long walk in the snow, but
Chewing, absolutely.
it's good. Okay, yeah, good, yeah. And here when it's 40 degrees, I don't know if you want a long walk when it's 40 degrees either. But like, when it's nice, like that's a really good thing to do with your time. You could even be getting some relaxation, meditation happening at the same time. And when we're in nature, we're activating our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the system that we want to be more activated because it's the one that says, oh, you're safe. Yeah, you could have a baby. Things are safe in your world.
Okay, great question, Kat. Would cycling be okay? I mean, I think it depends on the intensity of the cycling.
Yeah.
If you're going out and you are really hammering it, then I would say probably not. But if it is more of a casual cycling,
A scenic cycle.
then fine. Totally, I think that would be fine. But if you're like my husband who goes out and just hammers, then that would be too much.
Are you talking spin class? Are you talking spin class or cycle around the lake?
Right. Yeah. Or getting, yes, exactly. So it kind of going back to you don't want to be over intense in the exercise while you are actually in IVF. So if more of a calmer, right, scenic style cycling, or you can still be on a stationary bike in cycle class. You just can't be like pounding it.
Yeah. You can't be about to vomit.
Right. Slower style. But cycle is great otherwise.
Yeah. And I think a good tip too, yes, I do Zoom all over the world, whoever asked that. And I think the important thing too is if you find yourself looking for a loophole, then that's when you're kind of like, and I'm not saying you are, Kat, but like, yeah, road cycling. See, you're not looking for a loophole, you're good. But, if you're like, well, maybe, like Bikram yoga would be fine, because or like a high intensity yoga would be fine because like they said yoga. And if you're like, okay, but you're like sweating, it's much more intense. It's not just like a general kind of class, just remember that like you're looking sometimes for a loophole and the science doesn't really kind of allow for that, so it's not like it's not like school where this is not you, Kat, this is general. It's not like school where you're trying to like, I wonder if I could get away with that. And you're like, sweet, I did. Awesome. This is you, your body, your health. So if you feel like you're like, well, I did do 2 sessions today, but like one of them was like, not that intense weights. And the other one was, a run, you're like, okay, like they might not be that intense, but you're doing 2 sessions a day. That's probably too much for you. So just be aware of your mindset looking for loopholes.
Right. So we have another question about cycling for men. I don't work a lot with men. However, I do know that cycling can impact at least testicular health and pelvic floor health in men. I don't know if you know this, Belinda. I don't know how much it impacts like sperm count and quality and that type of thing.
It can impact a lot. So it just depends again on what type of cycling. So if you're okay, like you, I think you said you were from Victoria. If your husband or is like, I don't know where people go there, but like here they go to like Waterfall. It's like a 1 hour drive away, and people just like cycle there on a Sunday morning and cycle back and have cups of coffee, right? Like it's a big thing. They're wearing lycra, you know, they're in the pack, they're like going for it. You know, if you slow down, you basically like, I don't want to say anything bad happens to you, but like you crash, right? Everybody crashes into you. It's like it's much more intense. Yeah. Then depending on your age, your genetics, and the sun and the moon and luck, right? So some men will just like cycle, wear lycra all day, be professional cyclists and father 5 kids. And somebody else, you know, if you have been taking a while to conceive, it's all about the heat. So what's happening is that their testicles are being crushed up in their body in lycra, nice and tight, on that hot, sweaty seat. And the sperm that's in there is very fragile. So the reason that testicles hang below the body, and if you touch them, they're a cooler temperature than the body temperature, like it's a bit weird, you know, like that's because they're meant to be at a cooler temperature than the body. I mean, they don't hang down there for the look of it, right? They're there because they need to kind of be stored out of the body, and that was just a complete convenient place to tuck them, I guess, so whoever was making us made us. So if you're then pushing them up into the body, they're suddenly at body temperature, which is not where they kind of want to be. So if you you're a walker. I hate walking. Sorry. You can go for a swim. So basically, if you, you know, have them up in there for long periods of time, like maybe a couple of hours, a couple of times a week, that can be a problem for some men. So if you've had a semen analysis and the concentration, the count are okay, so being produced fine, but maybe the motility, the way they swim, the morphology, what they look like, isn't fantastic, then they might be being heated on the way through, and you know it's sort of affecting the sperm. So if your hubby, if you've been taking a while to conceive, or there's been a like not great semen analysis and they won't give it up, happens, so frustrating. It's like, just give it up for a while. I'm like injecting myself and like counting my cycles and taking 50 vitamins and whatever. So, you know, but that's okay. Don't just go for your ride. That, you know, what you can do is just get the lycra off ASAP, cool the whole area down, which I'm sure if you're a guy is probably like not that fun, but just really cool it down, and try to minimize the lycra. So maybe through the week, he can just wear normal shorts. So when they get off and have coffees and things, you know, like everything's kind of okay. Maybe on the longer rides, they wear the lycra.
I wonder also how, because I know cycling for both men and women can impact circulation in the pelvic floor and can cause pelvic floor tensioning. I wonder, and I know that can impact for women fertility, for circulation and all
Wow.
of that would also impact for men and their sperm quality and count. I don't know how that would impact it. Probably.
I didn't know that about women. I mean, I guess I don't see as many women that like do a lot of cycling, but I mean, they're out there. And I wouldn't have really thought of that. So it's really interesting. And it makes sense, right? Like your body's being jammed at a weird, unnatural angle, like for long periods of time when your heart rate. Yeah.
That's definitely why it's so important to have you know, an actual seat that fits your pelvis and have your pelvis measured and all of that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So
yeah. Not like this tiny little hard thing that like jams up you.
Right. Exactly. Okay. More questions.
Swim spa. So just be aware of the spa. Like it does sound like amazing, and I would love a spa in my backyard. If it's like a 40-degree plus spa, then you can potentially be overheating. Again, some people will have a spa every day and fall pregnant by mistake in the spa, right? Like who knows? But if it's been a problem for you, or there is sperm or egg kind of issues, you're not going to want to be in the spa. Well, you probably are. You're not allowed to be in the spa when you're pregnant anyway, because your body temperature can get kind of too high. So just be aware of that. If you know, you might want to wait until if you want it for the investment, get it. But you know, then if you're like, I shouldn't be in it in case I'm getting too hot and I'm post ovulation and we've been trying, and your husband's just like laxing out in there, and you're worried about his sperm, maybe wait for the investment. But, you know, generally though, it would be like, you know, obviously fine to have one. You just want to spend long periods of time in there, and not when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Would you say the same?
I would say the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds nice, but maybe too hot.
Nice. Especially in the
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Well, she lives in in Victoria, so it's quite cold there too. Not your cold, just our cold.
In terms of rebounding and trampoline, I'm not sure what rebounding is. I mean, I know what trampoline
It's
is.
like a little mini trampoline that's meant to be quite, yeah.
Okay. I like, you know, kind of the bouncing effect. It's great for your lymphatic system. It gets things flowing. I don't know if that's where I would start for exercise.
Yeah.
If you aren't an exerciser, which you say that you aren't. So, yeah, it's nice, but it's not where I would start.
Yeah. Where would you start? See, I would personally start with something like Pilates.
Yeah, I would start with something, especially coming from a women's health realm. I would definitely start with something where it brings your awareness more to your center and to your trunk and to your core, so that you know where your baseline is for your stability to then branch out to more movement-based exercise. Pilates is a great way to start that, as long as you have a really good instructor.
Right.
Some instructors don't
Even for the mat though, even for the mat class?
What's that?
Even for the mat class, like not the machines?
Even for mat class. Yeah. Yeah, because it depends. It really depends on their verbology, and like how they actually instruct the different moves, because if they don't instruct you on how to actually bring the core in properly, or that type of thing,
yes,
you could still injure yourself.
Yeah.
So
You use the wrong muscles.
exactly.
Yeah.
So starting with someone like a physio, depending on, you're in Victoria, so seeing a physio and getting an idea of what your baseline is first, and then starting to introduce in more exercises that really kind of spark some interest in you.
Yeah.
That's also something that you want to really have an interest in the exercise that you're going to be doing too.
Yeah.
Especially if you're having all of these other things that you have to deal with, you want to enjoy the exercise that you're doing.
Yes.
So,
and also too, like incorporating, I know you said you didn't like walking. I think that was you, but you might learn to like it. Like trying to find like more of an active lifestyle. So some people never like formal exercise, right? But maybe you like dancing, maybe you like gardening, maybe you like bushwalking, maybe you like kayaking, you know, maybe, you know, and maybe you don't even, maybe you think you don't like those things, but you've never done them, and you could just like try. You could, you know, like you could try some yoga, you know, and just see what you actually like and what resonates with you. But it might be doing like a Zumba class, like, you know, there's like, you know, dark dancing classes, like what is it, like, you know, lights out aerobics kind of thing.
yeah.
You know, like you might like cheesy 80s style aerobics. You might just go, do you know what? I'm going to check my step count on my phone. All those apps are loaded on the phone already. I'm just going to start by just slowly increasing my time outside. Yeah, you like going to parks.
Yes.
Walk around the parks. You know, like when you see a park bench, maybe do a couple of step ups onto it, or a couple of little tricep dips on, you know, 4 or 5. Like that's it. Just start moving more. And you may not even need to go to full on exercise.
Yeah.
You know, it might be that you do see somebody like a physio, or you know, somebody like more, like, you know, like you, Ryan, or like a pelvic health specialist, or somebody who can actually give you some specific exercises that don't feel like you're exercising. Be like, oh, I'm doing this because they said my pelvic, you know, floor was out, or I wasn't as stable, so I'm just going to do these few little squats and things at the park. But just start with going out and moving. Go to the shops if you really love that, you know.
Yeah.
We're quite lucky in Australia because we can be doing all those things still, right? Like we have all the classes up and running, and you can go to the shops and things. So, I mean, outside is always better, but, you know, I'm obviously, we're speaking from a very lucky kind of standpoint here, where all those things are still accessible for us.
Yeah, and I think that, and this goes for really anyone, even those who like and enjoy standard style exercise, it's also just being about, mindful about your movement, being efficient with your movement, and really kind of being intuitive about your movement. So like Belinda said, just getting out there and moving more or in different ways, or being kind of intuitive about how you're doing that, that's actually going to be a form of exercise with your body.
Mm.
You'll see those benefits. Walking around and looking at the beautiful trees, that's great.
Amazing.
Yeah. So then just add in, pay attention to how you are actually walking around, not just your count steps, but okay, am I slouching when I'm walking, or just add in some breathing exercises when you're walking, and start to introduce some other muscles into it. And that's going to be an exercise without you really thinking too hard about it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions about supporting yourself during IVF before we wrap this up?
I'm literally about to do the same topic in my Facebook group now, like it's IVF support. It just happened to be like on the same day. So if anybody wants to jump into, it's called Healthy Hormones with Belinda Kirkpatrick. I'll just like accept you, and you can, you probably get it again, or you get more or different.
Yeah, fantastic. And then if you head over to my profile, you can sign up to get the replays, as well as Belinda has offered some really great exclusive offers to people who have watched this or get the replays. So go ahead and head over there, and you can register to get the replay and these offers.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, so you can listen to it all back, and then it's like 50% off all my online courses, and there's a little free sampler download of my book as well. So head over to Morgan's. Sorry, why do I keep calling you Morgan? Sorry, I've had so many interviews today, Ryan. I'm not today. This week I have 5 interviews this week. Wow. So then that's not usual though. So I'm like so confused. I'm so sorry, Ryan. Terrible. But so that way then you can have, because you're doing other ones in this series as well. They can get those too.
Yes, we are going to be covering acupuncture. We're going to be covering toxins, and we're going to be covering, this is terrible, what's the other one? Acupuncture, toxins, and improving progesterone, and especially highlighting improving progesterone in women who have underactive thyroid or PCOS.
Oh wow, I'm tuning in. Yeah. I've already signed up, so I'm good.
So those are happening. The next one's going to be happening this Thursday. So I'll be posting on my account. So if you want to get involved with these other ones, follow me so you have the most up-to-date times and days. But it's this Thursday and then next Monday and Tuesday that I've got. So.
You're a star. Thank you for bringing everyone together, because it's so great to kind of connect and share all our combined knowledge. And I learned things from you, which is great. So I'm really excited. I wish you were just up the road and I could work with you.
It's always good to be able to share and learn, and we're all in this together, even the professionals. So
yeah, exactly. Always learning from each other.
Exactly. Well, thank you again, Belinda, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Have a good
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Okay. Bye.